So think of NATO as a framework, a useful framework, a good framework that is a reflection of how countries have organized themselves, both for democracy and prosperity and security. It's a reflection of that. Whether or not a country is a member of NATO, the society should be demanding and voting for people and bringing about change that's going to produce solid democratic institutions, peaceful changes of government, responsible leadership, fighting corruption, prosperity, attracting foreign investment, integration with the rest of the world, capacities so that it is a resilient and secure country generally. These are all things that Georgia needs to do, Ukraine needs to do, Moldova, everybody needs to do these things. If you do those things, you put yourself in the best possible position to be welcomed as a member of NATO, because you're not a burden, you're an asset. You help build security for a wider community. And the title of this conference is a reflection of that big idea that we ought to be trying to build a world where everybody is free and lives in a democratic society. They have opportunities for economic success, and they feel secure. And they don't have to worry about losing their land or their lives or their grandchildren's prosperity to others. So I think that's the way to think of it in terms of what to work on. Now, in terms of the institutions and the decision-making around NATO, it is one fundamental thing is very important to make clear. Russia continues to have a mindset that it has a right to have a say over other countries. Like it should be able to decide what happens to Georgia or what happens to Ukraine. The West, including the US, has exactly the opposite perspective. We think these countries should decide for themselves what it is they want and build that, and we can be their friends and supporters to help them achieve what they want. It is a fundamentally different approach, and we want to see Ukraine and Georgia and others be successful that way. Another is that NATO was founded in 1949 as a defensive alliance. That the only thing that glues NATO together for security is an attack on one is considered to be an attack on all. That's not aggression, it's not encirclement, it's not a threat, it is a defense. And that's important. It was very successful throughout the Cold War that NATO had the commitment and then developed the means to make that idea of defense real. I think that is still a valid idea. I will say, of course, NATO has done other things. It helped stop the war in Bosnia. It helped stop the war in Kosovo. But then what? It turns into a peacekeeping mission under a UN mandate, and NATO draws down, and countries get on with things. In the case of Georgia or Ukraine, I think it would be a mistake to create a policy or a fact that if Russia chooses to occupy part of another country's territory, that NATO then can't do anything, and that country is ineligible for NATO. I think as long as we are viewing it as a defensive alliance and preventing further aggression, that we would be prepared to respond to further aggression but not launch aggression, then I think we should also be able to be in a position where we can say the fact that Russia occupies part of your territory is not alone a disqualifying thing. Now, countries have a lot of other things they have to do, and let's take Ukraine. I think there's a long way before Ukraine starts looking like a NATO member. But I think we should be welcoming of the aspirations and trying to help countries develop the right way so that at some point in the future it can become a reality.
Thank you.